Let's see if I can get this to work. I have to find my live. There we go. Here we are. Okay. I'm doing this backwards since we're doing words this week. Makes it a little bit complicated. I can't see myself here, which is very weird for me. Okay, posting it here. Also going to. Oh no, you need to. Shh. Over here. Need to post in here. How was everybody's week? I hope y'all did something fun. Other than just, this. Alright. There we go. As always, I encourage comments in the comment section. I will be able to see them, even though I can't see myself here. They're going to be on my laptop. Remember that reason that we make these rocks, like last week with the garden buddies, is so that we can put them out and make someone smile, so that they can take them home or they can spread happiness in their own way. Okay? Alright, so today, donation links are in the description for this live event, as they are in every live event. Any money that goes to helping helps me keep this class free, since I buy my own rocks and paint and everything. It gets a bit expensive. Shout out to my sponsor, who is my mother, for sponsoring this for right now. So today we're going to do message rocks, like uplifting messages. So this says, remember to be kind. And I have some. This one was from one of the people I got to meet in this community, because you meet so many people in this community. And it was Practice Generosity. And I really love this rock. Probably be putting it out soon, but I wanted to share it with you before I go and put the last one out. This week, while putting out rocks in my own neighborhood, I found a ton of rocks from other people in my neighborhood who had put them along the walking trail, which I thought was really cool. However, some of them were not sealed, so I brought some home, and I'm going to teach you how you can refresh a rock that you find so that it brings new life without destroying what the person who originally did it intent was. So this says Houston Strong. I don't know if you can actually see it. It's pretty faded out, but I'm going to refresh it for them so that it pops a little bit more, because it's a little hard to see. I barely saw it when I was hiding my own rocks. Okay, so we're going to hop right in. I'm going to paint a rock. I know, it's shocking, right? Alright, so grab your rock. We're going to do a very simple starting one. You're going to want to take your pencil and make what sort of looks like a circle in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just roughly a circle. And then everywhere that is outside of the circle, you can do in whatever color you want. I would suggest a lighter color, just because we're going to be writing on these, and you don't want to make it too dark or you can't read the writing. I also have an example of one of my students who did this one, and it says happy on the bottom. It's just a really cute little happy face. So we're going to paint this. Let's see, what color do I want? What am I feeling? I'm going to do a blue. I'm feeling like a sky blue kind of color. Feels like a cute color. And I'll also get into gradients today. I know, we're getting to the tough stuff. Alright, we're just going to take our paint on our brush, just like always. Quick, easy, just dabbing motions essentially. And just brush along. Remember to avoid the circle as much as possible. All of my previous classes are available for watching on the TX Rockers Facebook page. If you have not followed or liked the page, I suggest you do it. It helps keep you updated to future events. And if there's any changes to a schedule, you'll be able to see it there. We also have an Instagram and a Twitter, although I don't really use the Twitter much because I have no idea how to use Twitter. And yet my mother does. It's the weird things. Alright, so pretty much got this all the way around. I got a little bit in the circle, but that's okay. Like, we know it doesn't need to be perfect. The message is the part that's going to matter. And I will show you how to use both pen and paint to do the messages, because I know not everybody has Sharpies or, you know, the paint pens that I would suggest, because I don't really suggest using Sharpies for these things, because Sharpie tends to fade, not just in weather, but in light. Alright, so that's done. We're going to let that dry, and we're going to rinse out that brush and choose a different brush. Neither of those is the brush I need. This brush, just a simple little kind of detail brush. Ooh, I apparently did not put this away correctly, and it has little furry hairs everywhere. I don't know if you can see that. But yeah. Okay, so I have one I did with a white, and I'm going to take my pencil again. That flew at me. And I'm going to draw a bigger circle in the middle. Alright, I don't know if you can kind of see that. I don't actually know where there we go. I don't know if you can see that. And then we're going to write the words be you in the middle of that circle. And capitalize you. Just to... And you can add an exclamation point if you want. It's up to you. Just so we have an idea of like where we're going to put things when we write it. Alright, so I'm going to show you in paint how I do the tracing of my letters. That's why I wrote it out in the pencil. However, I tend to write it in pencil also just so that you can sort of see how wide you need to write your letters and whatnot. I even did it for this one because you need to make sure your spacing's right and everything if you're not good at that, which I'm not always. So I tend to write it out in pencil just so that I have something I can follow. Just makes it a little easier. Alright, so very lightly. You don't want to push down all the way or else you'll make it all smudgy. You can always go back and fix it, so don't be afraid to draw on your rock like this. Alright. I also said do the capital letters for the U's because capitals are a lot easier to draw. So I figured I'd have something simple. Alright. So, there we go. We've written BU. Alright, now I'm gonna take a different brush. Did I just get paint on my forehead? No, okay. I've done that. I've done that many a time. Alright, so I'm going to open my rainbow colors because I'm going to do a rainbow effect. Okay, so I'm going to take our little brush, dip it with not too much red, okay? And I'm going to come in here, I'm going to start just doing sort of like a petal on a flower, just coming out like this. And try not to get it in your circle, okay? And I'm going to do this for each color as I go. And try to keep it kind of about the same amount. Does that make sense? The same width for each section. And it's okay if you still have some of the other color on your brush as you do this. Because that will just make it more dimensional. Oops, getting it in my light area. So see, I didn't quite make it all the way around, so that's okay. We're just going to do something to make that work. And another thing you can go back in and do is add just more detail. The more detail you add, the more it'll really pop. Alright, so when you're happy with it, and for these it might be, whenever. You might not be happy with it right away. That's okay. You can just keep working. There's no time limit on these things. I mean, unless you have something in the oven, then I would suggest at least going to check that at some point. But you can always come back to a rock. Alright, so now it looks like this, which is pretty cute. So we're going to let that dry. And we're going to move on to another. Oh, okay, making sure I'm not getting burnt everywhere. Alright, so now I'm going to take this rock. Now, one of the things you can do, and I've shown you before, is that you can just go back over all the writing and then seal it and put it back out. This one, I'd like to let it pop more because I feel like black on dark brown is not going to pop and people aren't going to necessarily see it. So I want to keep with sort of the idea of the rock. And I'm going to do the astro colors. That very dark blue and that bright orange. So that it really pops the Houston Strong message. And I've been known to pick up quite a few rocks from like my neighborhood, and when I find them, if they're not sealed, I'll take them home and I'll seal them and I'll put them back out because, it's just nice to help other people. And you want to preserve people's art. I mean, this is a community, and that's what this is about, is promoting community. Even in the face of things like this virus that makes us all feel very isolated, we're still one whole community. So don't let the virus get you down. There's always people out there. Sometimes you just have to look hard. But they're there. Alright, so we're going to let this top coat sit for a little bit, because it is very wet paint. I should have probably shaken these before I opened them. Alright. Now we're going to go back to our circle rock, and taking a different brush, and take this brush. I'm just gonna dip it in. Oops. Just got paint everywhere. That was fun. I know. Not on my laptop. The dangers of putting technology near these things. Okay. So we're going to take, I'm taking some yellow because I'm going to make this the sun. Okay? And I'm just going to follow our circle that we made. Doo-doo-doo. just simple and easy. You don't want too much paint on your brush because, again, it will make this dry a lot slower. Okay, so just like that, right? And I'm going to take one of my pens to do this. You can do this with a brush and paint. It won't matter, but my paint's a little wet, and there's not much I can do about that. So, I'm just going to come in and not mess it up with overly wet marker. And I'm just going to make little rays coming out of my sun. So you can really tell it's the sun. You just go all the way around, doing these tiny little marks. I gotta say, words is one of the harder classes because there's so many options of what you can do. I'll fix my circle a little. So I got it kind of cattywampus. There we go. Now we have a sun. We're going to let that dry. How are you doing, BU? You're still wet. Okay, this one, however, is ready for its second coat. Where are my pens? There's my pens. So we're going to come in. I'm just going to add another coat. Excuse me. Going to add another coat of this dark blue to this one real fast, since I'm waiting for the others to dry. And remember, after we're all done, take pictures and post them in the group, because I'd love to see your results. Just remember to use the hashtag TXRockers, so that way I can find it. Unless you post it directly to the group, and then I can find it pretty easily. Or to the page, rather. We do have a sister group called TX Rockers Painters, which is just everybody who paints for the TX Rockers. Very dark, very dirty. Okay, now I'm going to take this rock, and I'm going to take, what colors am I going to take? Kind of a corally color. And put that in the center. Like this. And then I'm going to come in hi cat. And I'm going to bring in the red. And notice how when I get close to the pink, it starts to gradient all on its own. Little ombre. And you want to do this while they're both wet so that you can get a good even ombre effect. And you can do this in any color. It doesn't have to be red and coral. I'll sometimes use my finger to sort of even it out. And if the middle color is getting too dry, you can always re-wet it with more of the color. Like that. See how I brought more of that peach color in? And then you can just go about and continue just mixing it until you like where you have it. See? So we're going to let that dry. You can use other colors too. They don't have to be matching colors. I would be careful about mixing colors that are complementary colors, because you could end up with brown. So be careful about that. Okay, let's see. Is this all dry? Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my sunrock, right? And I'm going to use a marker. You can use a Sharpie, you can use paint, you can use whatever. But I'm going to go ahead and just do this really quick in the... So I'm just going to choose where I want to start. Alright, so it says, life is tough, but so are you. I wouldn't suggest trying to do it that small on a paintbrush, unless you have a paintbrush that is like this tiny. Just because it's very hard to keep control that small. And I might go in and I might see how on the T it's a little thick. I might go in and I might fix that with blue later just to make it a little bit even. But I might not. I might just leave it like that. And that's okay too. Alright, so I'm going to take a gradient rock I've already done. And I'm going to... What am I going to do? I'm looking at my Pinterest page to sort of think of what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a really simple one. Alright, so with my pencil, I'm going to go ahead and draw out sort of what I want my thing to say, which for me is going to be love. like how that's turning out. You can use erasers on rocks, by the way. I know, it's like cheat codes. Okay. And I'm also going to go in and kind of tell myself where I want it to be like a thicker line, because I'm going to do this one with a brush, and where I want it to be sort of a thinner line, just so that I can really make it look like I wrote it, you know, like it's a calligraphy, I suppose. Okay, so, gonna drop my rock. I've written it out, and so now I'm gonna take just a little bit of paint and not have my hair fall in it. And I'm just going to follow the line. And don't be afraid to turn your rock or start and stop, because true typographers actually stop and start a lot when they're doing these really fancy letters. And you can write whatever you want. It doesn't have to be love. You can write a quote you like. You can write a simple one word. It can be whatever for an uplifting message. It could be smile or faith or hope or whatever. Just something that someone's going to see and smile. And I like to think to myself, like, would I smile if I saw this? And if the answer is yes, then that's what I do. It does take time. It takes a lot of time. I will say that. Alright. And for those thicker lines, you can go in just a little bit harder on your brush. Just to get that kind of handwritten effect. Almost there. Oof, that did not do what I wanted to do. I'm going to go back and fix that later. Remember, you can always put more layers of paint on something. It's not like the rock is going to break if you put too many layers of paint on it. Now, it may chip a little easier, but chipping your rock means you can find it easier. But I totally stole that joke off someone in my neighborhood. Said it earlier. I thought it was hilarious. Alright, so there we go. We have written love. And you can add hearts to this, or kind of whatever. Alright, so I'm going to take my gradient rock, now that that is pretty dry, and I need white paint for this. I'm going to make some flowers. Alright, so I need yellow. So I'm just dipping the end of my paintbrush actually into the paint. And I'm just creating a dot. It makes a very good dot tool. It's very simple. I'm going to make a second dot, a slightly bigger dot, I think. See, very simple. But make sure to wipe off your end, because otherwise you will get paint everywhere. I've had that problem. Okay, so we'll wait for those dots to dry. However, I can go ahead and kind of write out what I'm going to write, which is smile. Very simple. Probably going to regret writing that so small, but it is what it is already. Alright, so I'm going to go back to my recreation rock, right? And I can kind of still see where what it said was. I think I can. Yeah. So now I'm going to take some kind of yellowish orange. Kind of stir that up to make sure it's good. It's way too light. There we go. And I'm just gonna write it back out. Ooh, that's yellow. I don't want yellow. Okay. And this may take a couple coats because it's on such a dark background. And that's okay. These little ends are going to be the death of me. Just make sure you've done enough layers that you can really tell what it says when doing something this dark. And make sure your paint is fully dry before you go back over it, or else you might smear what you already did, and then the paint will be uneven, and it's really hard to fix that without starting all over. And once I'm done with this, I'll seal it and put it back out for other people to see or take or do whatever they want with it. Because we just want to spread positivity. I've actually had a rock I put out in Arkansas come back to Houston, even. Not just Texas, to Houston. To a place I have spent many an hour at a museum that I love. And I just thought that was the funniest thing, that my rock followed me home while I was on vacation. Alright, so now see, it still says Houston Strong, but now you can see it a lot better. And that way it's still respectful to the artist who did it. It just makes it easier for other people to see. Alright, so we're going to take our BU again. We're going to go back to this. And taking some black, not too much, I'm just going to line this circle that we made. Remember, you can move your rock however you need to. And if there's little divots, don't be afraid to dab a little in them, just to make sure they are also dark. I didn't mention the Easter egg rocks. I found some Easter egg rocks, which were very simple, and I really liked the idea. I wish I'd kind of seen it before Easter, so we could have done a class on them. But it was just very simple, and you put anything you want, like an Easter egg. Just make an Easter egg. And I thought that was really, really cute. You can have like a little egg hunt with rocks, which last a whole lot longer than actual eggs. You can't put an egg on your shelf and leave it there. It will start smelling so fast. And you could also paint the little plastic eggs Nothing says you have to use rocks for this. You can use pretty much anything. My mom has painted a seashell before. That's a vibe. I've incorporated quilling into a rock before. There's all sorts of things you can do. Sky's the limit. Alright, so now I have a circle. And I'm going to take the end, like we did, and I'm going to dip it in my black. Try and make sure that you're good and even. And you may have to dip quite a few times while doing this process, but I'm just going around and lining the circle we just did with dots right outside of it. Kind of feel like I'm writing letters back in like the 1800s before pens. I don't actually know when pens were invented. If anybody knows when the modern day pen was invented, that'd be really helpful. And we're just going to go all the way around, doing just these little itty bitty dots. And if they're not big enough, you can just sort of take your brush, dab, and then do a little rub motion to make them just a little bit bigger. They don't have to be perfect, they don't have to be even. Even. Alright, there we go. See? And again, make sure to wipe off your brush so you don't get it all over everything. Alright, so there's our EU rock, which is now completed. Smile rock is not quite to a point where I'm comfortable, so I'm going to close some of these excess paints that I don't need open. Okay, I'm going to take this one that I did gold, see, isn't it cute? And I'm going to take my handy dandy pencil. I'm going to look at it, figure out which way I want to do this. Okay. And I'm just drawing a heart. Which is a lot harder on a triangle than it would be on a flat rock. But there's my heart. And I'm going to go in with some black. And I'm just going to line where I drew that. As well as possible. Right, so after I've done that, I'm going to come in here with a different brush. And I'm just going to fill in the outside area. And I'm running out of black. Last time I used too much black, this time I've used too little. It's a never-ending circle. Alright. So remember, if you mess up and get it inside there, it's okay. You can blot it with a paper towel, which is one of the fastest way to sort of try and fix it. Or just go back after with some paint, cover it up. Or turn it into something completely different. Sometimes my rocks tell me what they want to be. I don't always get a say. Sometimes they are like, nope, I'm not going to do that today. We're going to be this instead. And I'm like, oh, okay. And remember, if there's any divots, just sort of dab at it. There. I don't want to touch the black and get it all over my fingers, so I'm just going to do that. Okay. What do we do now? This is almost done. I'm going to draw the smile in white, I think. And I need a different brush than that. I have a feeling I'm going to very strongly regret writing these in lowercase. But we'll see. And a part of me says, why not just use your marker that you have that's white? But I've already started, and it's too late to go back now. It's not actually too late to go back now. I could easily change over. But if this doesn't work, I'll just do it in black. So it's whatever. The M is giving me so much problems. What's going on, M? There. So now I've written smile. Alright, so I'm going to take the end of my brush, just like we've done, and I'm going to dab it in my paint to create petals, actually. And I'm going to swirl it a little so that they're a little bit bigger. See our little flower? And then I'm going to do the same for the next one. We are almost out of time. Remember that there are donation links in our description for this live event. Any little bit helps. Ta-da! And with this one, I'm just going to write Heart of Gold in my thing, in my marker. Alright, and there you go. Heart of Gold. And I'm just going to add green lines and little smiley faces in the yellow once it's dried. I'll post pictures of it once it's fully done. Next week we are going to do dots, which sounds very simple. It's not. I suggest also getting a toothpick for smaller dots. Pretty much anything can be used as a dotting tool, pen cap, ends of brushes, pretty much anything. Q-tips. I don't tend to use Q-tips just because the cotton can get in your paint and it gets kind of messy. But you can use them in a pinch. Use dowels, things like that. Alright, so I will see you all next week. Same time, same place. And I hope that you all have a great day. Bye!